Good morning. Is audio working for everybody who is on the Zoom link? Feel free to drop in the chat. Perfect. Thank you for confirming. Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. We are going to get this press conference started. Todd Flood, managing partner of Flood Law, and James Harrington, managing partner of Feiger Law, are here today to share new updates on lawsuits filed against Detroit Medical Center Sinai-Grace Hospital, its parent company, Tenet Healthcare, and former DMC nurse Wilfredo Figueroa Barrios. I will now turn the floor over to Todd Flood.
Good morning. It's an honor to sit in this or stand in this room with Mr. Harrington. This is a joint force to help survivors come forward against a predator and against an institution that allowed that predator to work in its confines. Quite candidly, the honor is mine to work with Jim and his team and the Feiger team, and that's why we're here today, to make sure that all the survivors out there know about our forces coming together. I will tell you this: we filed our lawsuit, the original lawsuit, against the institution of Sinai-Grace and Tenet, along with the predator and others. And since that time frame, you will see in the upcoming days the whistleblower, the nurse that blew this off the lid, if you will. She came forward, and we will be filing a lawsuit on her behalf as well. The questions remain: what did Tenet know? When did they know it? Well, you'll find out. There's 7 more victims, 7 more survivors, if you will, that have come forward to law enforcement. Those cases will be prosecuted, and you'll come to find out that the predator in this case worked at our hospitals, and this is what we're afraid of. He worked at Trinity Hospital out in Livonia. You're going to find out, and it'll come to the attention of all of us later on in the whistleblower lawsuit, that there were survivors there at Trinity as well. You'll come to find out as well, as we move forward in the second lawsuit for the whistleblower, that she was fired shortly after she told everyone. There will be this report. It's called the Midas Report, MIDAS. She made it mandatory to turn in this predator to the higher ups. And when she did that, she was frowned upon, because what did they know and when did they know it? Well, they knew the defendant, the predator, was someone that had other complaints against him, and they wanted to sweep it under the rug. That is the tragedy of what's going on. So I'm going to turn it over to Jim. Jim, too, is taking on all the survivors with us, and I'm humbled to work with them. So Flood Law and the Feiger team, we're here to join forces to take on Goliath, if you will. That's what we do.
Thank you, Todd. Good morning, everyone. When a situation like this happens, when something like this happens, I think it rocks our community at the core. We look to these institutions, these hospitals, as places of trust, places of safety, places where we're very vulnerable, when we need help, when we're at our worst. When individuals like this predator, as Mr. Flood has said, and that I agree with, when individuals are not supervised, when they're brought into these institutions without having a proper background check, without doing just the simple work to determine whether or not this individual is fit, and they put this individual with vulnerable patients, with people who need help, with people who are on medications, that painkillers or that affect their judgment, and they don't know what's going on, and allow this to flourish, it is something that has to be stopped. It is something that cannot continue. And it is something that Mr. Flood, our office, is telling the community right now that this will not go on. We're going to look on every single stone, and we will put a stop to this so we never have to let this happen again in our community. Miss Cooper is here. I give her, she had so much courage to come forward, to contact us, to help. It was simply too hard for her to come in here to face all of you. She is here today. And we ask for everybody really to pray for all of the survivors that are out there. You know, Mr. Flood and I have had a number of conversations. I've worked with him in the past. He's a phenomenal lawyer. His firm is excellent. And we're very, very, it's unfortunate, but we're very excited to be able to work together on this and help the clients that we represent, that he represents, and all of the other survivors that are out there that have yet to come forward. And we urge them to come forward because their voice matters, their voice is important, and their voice needs to be heard. The lawsuit was filed yesterday on behalf of LaShonda Cooper. We filed that yesterday in the Wayne County Circuit Court. The complaint contains 9 allegations of misconduct applying to both the predator in this case, as well as Sinai-Grace Hospital and the parent corporations. We have not heard anything from the other side. We have not received any information about anything or who will be representing. We do anticipate that this will take time and that there will be information that we obtain that we will give to you. We hope that Sinai-Grace will do the right thing and be transparent in their investigation and provide you with materials as well. But in my experience, and I've seen most of you here before, that usually rarely happens. And you'll get the information from me, but you can count on us to provide a story. This is something that is very, very important because this can never, ever happen again to any of our loved ones. The history of Mr. Berrios is absolutely alarming. Having been fired from other institutions for doing just this, having had assault charges before being hired at Sinai-Grace. And as I said before, a simple background check would have revealed these incidents. And you know, somebody like this, somebody who is depraved enough to sexually assault, commit sexual violence on patients, doesn't wake up one day and say, hey, today's a good day that it's going to start, right? This is something that develops over time, that supervisors who do their job, that administrators who do their job would see this. And it was there before they even let this man into that building with the body of previous complaints. So we hope and trust that Sinai-Grace will do the right thing and maybe notify other survivors. I doubt they will. But we're here to hold them accountable, to give our clients their day in court, to give our clients their day to justice, and make sure that something like this never, ever happens again. And I'm absolutely confident with the team that we've assembled at Feiger Law. I've assigned myself, and I have 2 other incredibly talented lawyers that spent most of their career representing hospitals. Paul Hebner and Matt Piccarilli will be working. Mr. Flood has an incredibly competent staff, and between the 2 firms, there is no question in my mind that we will provide answers and that we will secure justice for everybody involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We will now take questions from media. If you are on the Zoom, feel free to submit your questions with your name and outlet using the chat feature. If you're in the room, please feel free to speak. From Tracy Samilton, why isn't the Department of Justice handling this?
The fact of the matter is, one of the strongest prosecutors in our state is handling this case, and that's Judge Kim Worthy, the Wayne County prosecutor. And she has a team around the prosecution in this case. So there is the criminal element that's taken place against the predator, and I think that if records have been destroyed or if things have been mishandled, I would imagine those types of acts, those overt acts, will be prosecuted as well. And who might do that? None better than Kim Worthy's office to do it.
I would also add and anticipate that what we have now, as far as the criminal charges, it's just the beginning. As survivors come forward and make their reports, based on what I've seen with the Wayne County Prosecutor's Office through Kimberly Worthy, I fully anticipate multiple more charges, and this man is going to be spending likely the rest of his life behind bars.
The lawsuit, how many survivors are looking at, how many lawsuits for it?
Sure, I'll speak to the survivors that our office represents, and I'll let Mr. Flood speak to his. At this point, we have filed one lawsuit on behalf of one survivor, with an anticipated two more coming in the next few days, possibly a week. The civil process takes much longer than the criminal process. One of the things that we're allowed to do in our civil process is take depositions. And the deposition process is an incredible process to get sworn testimony, just like as if it was in court. And that takes time. We have, like the criminal process, we also have subpoena power. We're also going to be doing forensic downloads into their CCTV, their security cameras, if you will. We're going to be getting into their electronically stored information on their hard drives. And as I said, no stone will be left unturned. This is part of that process. Both Mr. Flood's office and our office have incredible resources with the ability to hire expert witnesses in the field of this type of electronic forensic data recovery. I've done it in many cases. I've done it in cases where we had to get in two hard drives, uncovered deleted information. And in this case, there is a suggestion, and Mr. Flood can talk about this in a little more detail, but there have been records that have been altered. We'll find that. We'll find that through audit trails. We'll find that through all different types of electronic discovery, and that takes time. We have the resources to do it. We're patient, and we're going to get justice for these families.
Currently, we have Miss Williams, who is currently undergoing therapy. We have three other survivors that have reached out to us. They're in the investigative stage. I would imagine their lawsuits will be filed by the end of this month, no later than the end of this month. We also have the whistleblower, who is a nurse herself, a registered nurse, and she's already identified other victims that the hospital knew about. So, there's two places, Jim's office, Mr. Feiger's office, Flood Law's office. We want you to help and have as many of these survivors step forward. And it's also important that survivors step forward with law enforcement, because that's the other key. I echo. I've been lead counsel and handled many sexual assault cases in my time. And I echo Jim's sentiments. The electronically stored information is the breadcrumbs to a lot of different crimes that may have taken place in this case.
Can you guys now speak to as far as the victims and the survivors that you had talked about already? Was it the same MO in the Miss Cooper case where claims you were changing catheter and touch from private parts? Was it the same MO with the other victims as far as
Well, when you say MO, there is a lot of very similar identifiable themes, and isolating and part of the grooming process before this happens. You have to identify what a predator does is they identify their prey. they isolate their prey, and they go in and abuse the prey. Okay. So in that context, in that situation, yeah, there was a very similar MO that was done with Miss Cooper. It was the catheter. With other individuals, it was taking them into bathrooms and sexually abusing them there. So it wasn't just a catheter type of situation. It was the identify, isolate, and commit the act of sexual violence.
Yeah, no, we do have a profile. It is a profile, and law enforcement has built up this profile. You'll see it. It comes out how he targets, who he targets, the vulnerability of the patients. So Jim's right. Most crimes don't happen in the middle of Ford Field. They happen behind closed doors. He profiled the victims ahead of time of who he wanted to go after, and he did it. So I see a similar MO, if you want to say modus operandi. You see that common scheme and plan. There'll be several what we call 404B acts, where the predator, did certain things continuously and constantly, as Jim has talked about. But again, you have to also focus in on how was it that he was able to get away with this when they all knew about it. You have to understand that key component. Shame on our society for allowing us to turn for an institution to turn the blind eye to something like this. That's the key to me. We'll get this guy justice. Kim Worthy will do that, but also the institution that allowed that to happen.
Statement from Sinai-Grace. You guys said there was no background check done. They're saying that they have a rigorous process in place to screen applicants prior to employment. There was no indication of concern during that process, and furthermore, so upon becoming aware of these allegations, Sinai-Grace proactively initiated contact with and notified law enforcement and suspended the employee who has since been terminated. To that, you guys say what?
I'll give you two quick things. One, you didn't have to go far. You can just go on page 6 of my complaint. All you had to do was look at social media, right? And that's part of the background. If Jim's going to hire somebody, he's going to go to background check. You look at your social media. This guy was talking about how he wanted to have fun at a race for the cure of giving breast exams and how he wanted to take advantage of cancer survivors. Okay, that's on his social media page. Didn't take much. And the second thing, if they said they did it, they didn't do it very well. You could have called Trinity Hospital. You could have called the other locations, or you just could have gone to iChat, which you all have access to. Look on the iChat. He's been convicted of an assault case. It doesn't take much in this day and age.
And to follow up with that and with your question, on the Sinai-Grace statement that they have rigorous policies of background check and rigorous policies to screen people. Of course, they're going to say that, but did they follow it? They didn't say that in their statement. They didn't say, we followed our policies. We adhered to our policies. In fact, I'm confident that after discovery is through in this case, that they breached their policies. They violated their policies. And the social media post that Mr. Flood was talking about was on this race for the cure. So many boobs to take care of. It's a hard job, but someone's got to do it. Okay. That's somebody that you want treating vulnerable patients in your facility. That alone. But that doesn't even deal with the prior acts of misconduct that he was fired for at other hospitals. Okay. So what's absent from the Sinai-Grace statement is that they complied with what they say are their vigorous and policies that they have on hiring. That's important. Any other questions?
Follow-up question from Tracy Samilton at Michigan Radio. How many victims have you identified so far? Do you think there could potentially be dozens of people who were victimized?
I think there's probably hundreds, if not thousands. I think there are hundreds, if not thousands. That's why Mr. Flood and I have deemed this so important to come to you, have you come here and listen and have the word spread, because many times in my experience, having represented many individuals that have survived the sexual violence, and Mr. Flood has represented many individuals as well. I have found people are afraid, people are scared. They will tell themselves that it didn't happen or it wasn't a big deal. And they do that in a method to self-preserve and protect themselves. But that's not okay. People need to stand up, have their voice heard, because their voice is important.
From Dan Zacharek at WXYZ, has DMC and other parties named in these lawsuits, have they been served?
From our complaint, no, we filed yesterday. Our complaint has not been served, but it will be served this week.
Ours has. We've executed the process service. So not the whistleblower case, that won't be filed until probably the end of the week or so. So that case is still under the investigation portion for the factual section. So that'll be filed this week.
Good. This is a last call for questions. Please, if you have not dropped your questions into Zoom, do so now. If you are in the room and would like to speak, I have a microphone for you to speak into. For both of you, why or what should regulators, law enforcement, or the public understand about how this could have been prevented?
That's a great question. So it's speaking up. Yeah. In my first case, Miss Williams, it would shock the conscience if I told you what nurses said, other people of service said to Miss Williams, who was in treatment at Sinai-Grace. Things to the extent of, you're just trying to set him up, or if you were my wife, I'd kick you to the curb. This is right out of a movie, this FBI profiling. When you look at this predator, he had a dual life, and he tried to assuage the life of being someone that lives amongst us, but yet was a predator. And the key about it is the people that are trained, and I find this to be the most shocking, the people that are trained to protect us, nurses, doctors, they all go through this training of what to look for and how to identify people like this predator. So when you're going to become a nurse or you're going to become a doctor in the ER, you're looking for the telltale signs of predators, dual citizens, if you will, so to speak. You know, people that live one life on one side but are on the other side of the track, raping and assaulting others. So law enforcement here should have been, I believe, and this is something that is going to come up in discovery. In 2023, there was a complaint made against him, and then 2024, another complaint. Those cases, one got rejected. The other one was under review, is still under review. But now all of a sudden, a cacophony, if you will, all of this coming forward, you're going to see right out of, to be a mind hunter, you're going to see a hunting of this type of profile, this guy who was a rapist, and the fact that experts, hospitals, institutions that know better, you'll find out that a doctor made a complaint against this guy, and the institution allowed him to stay there.
And to answer the question that you asked, what lawmakers and the law is in place, right? The law is in place to prevent this. The law was broken. What was also broken was Sinai-Grace system for not only the screening upon the hiring, but the continuing obligation to ensure that the people that are working there are appropriate, right? So after they hired and they failed to do the background check and the screening, I mean, that's a problem. That broke the law. But as this individual was there, and the signs were there, they still have a continuing obligation to ensure that the people that are providing treatment to vulnerable patients are fit to do their job and aren't going to sexually assault the patients. And all of this body of work that this individual did before that were violations, it was still there. It was available. Had they looked at any point in time to see what this man was, they would have been able to see it. So the violations continued even after hiring, even after they were warned. They absolutely did nothing.
From Justin Hicks at MLive, aside from the whistleblower nurse, have all the other survivors been patients at DMC? Were they all adult women?
No, the survivors come from also out of Trinity that have come forward. That's out in Livonia. And also Sinai-Grace. As Jim has said, there's going to be countless amount of survivors in this case. And there's, a lot of work that needs to be done to make sure they're protected.
If other staff have seen inappropriate behavior, what should they do if they fear retribution from their administration?
Well, that's exactly what happened in the case what we had here, where the whistleblower took it up, filed the Midas report, and got fired. There's protection, and the laws protect you against, being retaliated against. Number one. Number two, now notice is out there. Number three, the fact of the matter is this: if you know of a survivor, please contact us. Please contact us immediately, either at Jim's office or my office. Make sure, because we're a team here trying to make sure that all of them have a voice. And also law enforcement. Detective Valerie down at the Sex Crimes Unit for Detroit Police Department is handling the investigation along with Kim Worthy's office. So you got three places to go. You got Jim Harrington at Figer's office, my office at Flood Law, and you got law enforcement.
Thank you. Last call for questions in the room. Question is, when was he hired at Sinai-Grace?
So it's in the complaint. It's on the, he's been working, I think, for 2 years. He's been a nurse since 2012. That's in Miss Williams' complaint. He's been a nurse since 2012, and he's, I believe, been at DMC for at least 2 years.
And think about that for a second. 2 years working full-time at Sinai-Grace Hospital. And let's just extrapolate for a moment. Say this individual is working, say, 48 or 50 weeks of the year, working, say, just 40 hours. We know that healthcare works a lot of hours. Think about the opportunity that this individual had over that period of time. We're talking several thousand hours that there was the opportunity to do this. So I think that underscores the volume of survivors of the sexual violence that exist. Thank you.
One more question. Is there a statute of limitations on victims being able to come forward?
That's a great question. So we actually, our state legislature has increased the statute of limitations for this. And there's also issues when you fraudulently conceal documents. A lot of times survivors will try to repress, put this in a box, wrap it up in some cement, wrap it around with some chains, put it up in the back corner of your brain and not think about it. It comes out during therapy or comes out during treatment. That statute of limitations is going to be extended. Also, we have basically put ourselves in a position where going after Sinai-Grace, it's going to be some good arguments if this happened more than 10 years ago. So.
From Tracy Samilton at Michigan Public Radio. Is there potential for this to become a class action lawsuit?
The potential for a class action is there. There's also the potential for a mass tort action, which are slightly different. And at this point, we haven't filed either. And that is something that Mr. Flood and I are going to work through and kind of hammer out together.
Thank you, everyone, for joining today. We will be circulating a press kit shortly that contains filed complaints, a recording of this press conference, and images. Please reach out to Chloe at nearperfectmedia.com or Sean at s.lay@figerlaw.com with any questions or one-on-one interview requests. Our contact details have been put in the chat if you have joined on Zoom.